Welcome back on Wednesday. Today for Spirit Week is dress like an old person, and lucky for me, I'm an old person every day, so I'm already in my old person garb. Yeah, hope you guys are doing good. I wanted to start by going over the rewind. For this first one, this is just a review of what we did yesterday, right? This is a big, gross-looking equation, and the trick to these is just to get rid of the fractions first, right? So we can start this problem by getting rid of the 3, right? In order to get rid of that 3, we need to multiply by 3. That 3 will cancel out. But if we're going to multiply by 3, we have to multiply everything by 3. Okay. Same thing. We have a 10 over here. So I can also multiply by 10 to make that 10 cancel out with the 10 on the bottom. Multiply by 10 here, multiply by 10 here. Okay, it looks like a mess right now, but this algebra should be pretty, it's like little pieces. And if you don't make any mistakes, this problem becomes a lot easier. Okay, we can see these 3's have canceled. Oops, I forgot to write a 10. And what here is 10 times x, that's just 10x. Here, nothing cancels. So 10 times 3 is 30, times 7 is 210. And then on the other side of my equal sign, same thing. I get 30x. My 10's have canceled here, so I'm left with minus 6x. Okay, I can combine these like terms. I can move 10x to the other side, and this problem ends up shaking out to 15 equals x. Hopefully you guys felt pretty confident on that first one from yesterday's lesson. Okay, and then this other one I wanted to look at, this is something we haven't talked about a ton in this class. These straight up and down lines are absolute value, okay? Absolute value. Hopefully you saw those before in your math class last year, but I wanted to throw them in here to make sure we understood how they worked. When we plug in our value, x equals 4, I'm just gonna replace the 4, or replace the x with the 4, right? It told us to plug in. 4 minus 6 gives us negative 6, and that's where those straight up and down lines come into play. So the way I always teach this, pretend those straight up and down lines are these two fingers, right? These two fingers turn everything positive. You don't want them to be these two fingers because these two fingers are negative. So these two fingers are absolute value, and they end up turning whatever's on the inside, not negative, but positive. So our negative 6 becomes a positive 6. And when we add that to 15, we get 21, okay? 15 and 21 for the rewind. So just a quick rundown on what we're doing today. We're gonna come back to the second Annie skill maybe next week. It deals with systems of inequalities. We'll do those later. We're gonna start in today on function notation though. And function notation, I want us to review, start today by reviewing just kind of like how we use functions, right? And the big thing with functions is plugging stuff in. So if this is my function machine and I plug in, let's say 4, just like the rewind, right? I basically just take this equation, y equals 3x plus 2, and we're plugging in for x. So instead of x, that's where my 4 goes. Times 4 plus 2. We can do that math in our head. We get 14. So when I plug 4 into this function, the number that I get out is 14. Okay. On the next slide, you guys will do a quick round of pick'em, Annie skill style. And these are your problems. Pick one of them and plug it into the function over here. You can do this in the random workspace. You can do this in your notebook. I don't really care. This problem, though, I want you to get a little bit of practice before we move on to the next thing.